The purpose of this video is to provide an overview of OHRP's compliance oversight assessments. The Division of Compliance Oversight at the Office for Human Research Protections, known as OHRP, is responsible for oversight of compliance with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services regulations for the protection of human research subjects. The regulations, which are found in the Code of Federal Regulations, Title 45, Part 46, are designed to protect research participants. They apply to human subjects research conducted or supported by Health and Human Services, known as HHS. Institutions engaged in research covered by these regulations must provide a written agreement to OHRP, called a Federal-Wide Assurance, or FWA, that they will comply with the requirements. To review non-exempt human subjects research that is conducted or supported by HHS, an institutional review board, called an IRB, must be registered with OHRP. OHRP's Division of Compliance Oversight conducts compliance assessments of research institutions holding FWAs. OHRP also has compliance oversight authority over registered IRBs that review non-exempt HHS-supported research. If you have been notified that OHRP will be conducting a compliance assessment of your institution or IRB, you may be unsure as to what this will involve. This video describes the two types of assessments, how to prepare for them, and what to expect before and after. Types of compliance assessments OHRP conducts. OHRP conducts two types of compliance assessments, evaluations and investigations. Evaluations, sometimes referred to as not-for-cause evaluations, are conducted as part of OHRP's compliance surveillance program. Investigations, sometimes referred to as for-cause investigations, are conducted in response to substantiated allegations or indications of non-compliance with the HHS regulations. These assessments may be conducted on-site, where OHRP visits the institution or IRB in person, virtually via video conference, or remotely through electronic exchange of information only, such as email, or it may be a combination of these interactions. The majority of assessments that OHRP conducts are not-for-cause evaluations. These evaluations are conducted as part of OHRP's compliance surveillance program. This program involves an evaluation of IRBs and institutions' human research protection processes. These evaluations are carried out in the absence of allegations or indications of non-compliance. As a part of this program, OHRP considers several factors that may contribute to risk of non-compliance when selecting an institution or IRB to evaluate. 1. The amount of HHS-funded or supported research that an institution conducts or that an IRB oversees. 2. The number of incidents reported, for example, underreporting. 3. Outcomes of previous compliance assessments. 4. Accreditation status of the IRB or institution's HRPP. OHRP will work with the institution or IRB to facilitate the evaluation. This is an iterative process that involves ongoing communication to address any concerns or issues. Ultimately, OHRP will make determinations regarding compliance with HHS regulations and the adequacy of any corrective actions taken by the institution or IRB. OHRP determination letters relating to evaluations are posted on the OHRP website. The second type of assessment is an investigation, sometimes referred to as a for-cause investigation. When OHRP receives an allegation or indication of non-compliance with HHS regulations, the office will determine whether it has jurisdiction over the research, and if the alleged issues, if proven, would constitute a violation of the HHS regulations. Next, OHRP determines the best approach to address the potential non-compliance. If OHRP decides an investigation is warranted, OHRP will work with the institution or IRB to investigate the alleged non-compliance. Similar to evaluations, this process involves ongoing communication to address any concerns or issues. Ultimately, OHRP will make determinations regarding compliance with HHS regulations and the adequacy of any corrective actions taken by the institution or IRB. OHRP determination letters relating to investigations are also posted on the OHRP website. Note: in some instances, OHRP may employ other mechanisms to address alleged noncompliance. For example, if a subject failed to receive compensation for participation in research, OHRP may work with the institution or IRB to resolve the noncompliance without opening an investigation. What to expect during a compliance assessment. Approximately 6 to 8 weeks before conducting an assessment, OHRP will contact the signatory official and Human Protections Administrator listed on the institution's FWA. For independent IRBs, OHRP will contact the senior official and information provider listed on the IRB registration. HHS regulations require an institution, or when appropriate, an IRB, to prepare and maintain adequate documentation of IRB activities. All records, for example, IRB review records, meeting minutes, and research records, etc., need to be accessible for inspection by OHRP officials. Let's review what documents OHRP will need to conduct the assessment. OHRP will request IRB documents from the institution being evaluated, as well as documents from independent IRBs that review research for the institution. Examples of documents OHRP may request include the following: IRB written policies and procedures, current IRB membership rosters, IRB meeting agendas and minutes from recent IRB meetings, a list of active HHS-funded research protocols, including basic information for each study, the IRB of record, the funding agency, reviewed under the pre-2018 or 2018 Common Rule, and a brief description of the research, IRB records and study records, IRB authorization/reliance agreements if applicable, IRB meeting materials for meetings OHRP may observe, other documents as necessary to evaluate indications of noncompliance. OHRP will provide resources to aid and facilitate information exchange for the assessment. For studies that OHRP selects to review, OHRP will request access to sufficient information to reconstruct the entire study history. OHRP will need unrestricted access to the IRB's electronic submission systems. For example, OHRP will ask to access all the submission materials from the initial to continuing reviews, amendments, and reportable events. OHRP also will ask to access all communications between the IRB and investigators, IRB minutes for each IRB action, administrative reviews, reviewers' worksheets, and any monitoring and audit reports. When OHRP is assessing an institution engaged in research for which the institution relies on an external IRB, OHRP may request that the institution provide information regarding external IRB records, correspondence between the institution and the IRB, and reliance agreements. Note that additional information may be requested if OHRP is conducting an investigation rather than an evaluation, depending on the allegations or indications of noncompliance. In addition to document review, OHRP will engage with institutional and IRB staff to better understand the IRB's and institutions' human research protection processes. These assessments may include observing IRB meetings, as well as conducting interviews with IRB chairs and vice chairs, IRB members and staff, institutional leadership, and others. On the final day of the interviews, OHRP will meet with institutional leadership to present preliminary observations and answer any questions. Following the assessment, OHRP will continue its review. What to expect after the preliminary assessment. Once OHRP has conducted its preliminary assessment, OHRP will share any observations that may constitute potential noncompliance with the HHS regulations with the institution or IRB. Generally, institutions and IRBs will respond to OHRP's questions and concerns by providing clarifications and describe any voluntary corrective actions that may be implemented to address the concerns. If the voluntary actions are insufficient, OHRP may require additional corrective actions. After assessing the institution's or IRB's response to OHRP's questions and concerns, if any, OHRP will make determinations of whether there was noncompliance with the requirements of the HHS regulations. OHRP may find the corrective actions proposed by the institution or IRB in response to OHRP's questions and concerns sufficient and include a summary of those corrective actions in its determination letter. These determinations will be sent to institutions or IRBs. This process may take several weeks or months. If OHRP does not identify any areas of noncompliance with the HHS regulations, then the institution or IRB will not need to take any further action. However, in some cases, OHRP may provide recommendations for improvements. The institution or IRB is free to implement these recommendations or not, so long as the institution or IRB is in compliance with the HHS regulations. In rare circumstances, such as egregious or systemic noncompliance with the regulations, OHRP could take additional action, such as restricting or suspending an institution's federal-wide assurance or recommending debarment of institutions or investigators from receiving HHS funding. OHRP's assessments are designed to ensure human subjects are protected as much as possible through compliance with the HHS regulations. OHRP takes allegations of noncompliance seriously and will conduct investigations as warranted. In conclusion, OHRP's assessments are a collaborative activity with the goal to help institutions and IRBs enhance their processes to be better aligned with the regulations to protect human subjects in research. OHRP appreciates your commitment to the protection of human subjects. If you have any questions regarding this video or other aspects of OHRP's compliance oversight, please visit OHRP's website at www.hhs.gov/OHRP or contact us at OHRP@HHS.gov.